I hope that you're not exhausted of the number of videos that I'm doing. I feel a little exhausted, but it also feels worth it because the Raging Moderates YouTube channel is growing because I have fun guests like Aaron Parnas. You're supposed to wave or something.
Oh, I didn't know that I was
You're
going to be in
alive.
it.
Yeah, you're
Huh.
alive. You're in my plug. Subscribe to Raging Moderates. And now here's our conversation. Welcome to Raging Moderates. I'm Jessica Tarlov, and by popular demand, I have Aaron Parnas back with me, journalist, lawyer, TikTok darling. Aaron, welcome back.
So excited to be here.
Do you like TikTok darling?
I mean, that's a
Have you
new
gotten
one.
that before?
No.
No?
I'll run with it. Why not? Let's see.
Yeah, it's nice. I want to talk Chicago first. Trump this morning has said that J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson should be in jail for, quote, failing to protect ICE agents. It's the latest flashpoint in Trump's standoff. We have National Guard troops that are kind of milling around on the outskirts, should be heading into Chicago proper, and we are waiting on a judge's ruling on that, which should come out tomorrow. How far can Trump legally go with these troop deployments before he crosses some sort of constitutional line? And is there any risk, you think, for the J.B. Pritzkers of the world in pushing back this hard?
Yeah, I mean, with the legal sense, we've already seen that he's kind of already crossed that line. He's doing in Chicago what he tried to do in Portland, and their Trump-appointed judge said you can't do it and issued a temporary restraining order until I believe it's October 19th. The same thing really did happen in California before it was eventually appealed all the way up. DC is different because home rule, right? Trump has the authority to do some
Right.
things there that he doesn't in other cities. So I expect this Illinois judge to follow what happened in Portland and kind of say you can't do this, especially deploying state National Guard members from Texas and elsewhere into Chicago. Ultimately, this is an issue of state sovereignty, of 10th Amendment rights. And if Donald Trump is calling up the National Guard, claiming that there is this war zone type mentality on the ground, and there isn't, then he legally can't do it. But then again, I say that with the one caveat that it really just seemed in Chicago, at least, that ICE and DHS officials are creating that war zone type situation on the ground. They have the Black Hawk helicopters. They have these protests, right? They have the tear gas flowing. And so he may use that as a pretext to bring in the National Guard. So we'll see what happens with the court ruling. And as far as Pritzker and Johnson getting arrested or in prison, I mean, zero chance. It's not going to happen. And if they try to do that, it'll be a constitutional crisis like we've never seen before. Truthfully, someone a lot more influential than me actually put it perfectly, saying, quote, Republicans will say he's just joking. Media will say it's just Trump. But if it was any other president, we'd taking him seriously and we should care too. So truthfully, it's 100% right. I mean, if it was anyone else, we'd be setting off alarm bells right now over that True Social post, but it's Trump, so no one really cares.
That was, by the way, noted constitutional scholar Jessica Tarlov that tweeted that this morning.
Correct.
That's good. That's why you're a TikTok darling. Um, the Insurrection Act. Donald Trump has now talked about it. Stephen Miller is talking about it. What are the odds? To me, it seems quite high that they'll move to that once they get batted down out of, the rest of the court system. But what if they do invoke it? What does that actually look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's inevitable that it's going to happen. I think it'll happen sooner rather than later. And it's really just a step forward. I think ultimately what Trump wants is some type of martial law declared in certain areas across the country. I think that's the ultimate goal here. And he's trying to figure out you have to take steps to get there. So the Insurrection Act of 1807 was created in an effort to essentially allow the president to give the power to the military to conduct law enforcement activities. Law enforcement isn't doing the job on the ground to quell rebellion or civil unrest. Those are the two categories. And so we're going to give it to the power to the military. The president's going to order the military into certain cities or certain areas, and they're going to quell unrest. And essentially, in practicality, you'll have military officers with handcuffs conducting arrests of American citizens. That's what it looks like. If Trump wants to invoke it, it's a simple invocation. He just has to give a legitimate pretext for the invocation, cite where there's a rebellion occurring or where there's civil unrest, sign this presidential memorandum, and then ultimately the troops can then have the power to conduct law enforcement activities on U.S. soil. But like the National Guard deployment, it's going to get challenged almost immediately. If I had to predict, a number of states' attorneys general already have lawsuits drafted for the moment he invokes the Insurrection Act. And I don't know that it'll actually get held up in court, but it's something that he's going to try. And it seems like he can't just do it on a whim, right? He can't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to invoke the Insurrection Act. He can, but he won't, and it would never be legal. What he's trying to do is every single day, every single week, he's kind of setting the stage for that next escalation. And the Insurrection Act, to me, is really what that next escalation is in Chicago once the guard is actually on the ground.
I want to shift gears a little bit over to Jim Comey. He appeared in court facing charges brought by DOJ for allegedly lying to Congress about the Russia investigation. He put in his not guilty plea. Now that we're, I guess, a couple weeks since the indictment, what's your assessment of where this case goes?
I think it was actually pretty funny in court today. The prosecutors asked for more time, right? There's a Speedy Trial Act that you have to have a trial within a shortened period of time if the defendant requests it. And Comey seems fully gung-ho. We want a trial as soon as possible. We want a trial at that December or January. And the prosecutors were like, well, no, we need a lot more time. And the judge essentially kind of retorted and was like, well, it's a 2-count indictment. It's a 2-page indictment. It's based on one statement that Comey made. What do you need all this time for? This case, to me, really seems like it's unraveling each time it's in the news. Ahead of this arraignment today, they couldn't find prosecutors in the Eastern District to even sign on to it and prosecute Comey. They had to bring folks in from North Carolina. I really do expect that this case will die before it ever gets in front of a jury. I think the judge will throw it out pretty quickly, honestly.
Okay, that would be interesting. I still can't get over how chill we're supposed to be about the images of Lindsey Halligan coming into the White House and knowing that people are willing to resign, or a lot of them they're just letting stay in their jobs, I guess, because they'll have no one working in the Eastern District, that they just won't touch this thing.
Well, I was old enough to remember when there was so much outrage that Bill Clinton had a meeting with Loretta Lynch, or just had a
A meeting? No.
not even a
Like,
meeting.
hello.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah,
On
you
the
look
tarmac,
nice. Were you on vacation? Like,
right? Like
that was it.
that was a problem. That was the problem that could have sunk Hillary's campaign. And now and no one cares.
I'm still so 2016 sad. Voting Rights Act, pending Supreme Court case, letting Republicans redraw up to 19 House seats is a potential result of this. Voting rights groups are calling it a nightmare scenario for minority representation. If Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act fails, what happens to fair districting?
It doesn't really become.
Is that it? You just laugh?
Yeah, I mean, it's no longer fair. I mean, so it'll just do away with these black majority districts. That's really what it'll do. So a district like Texas 18 that was represented by Sheila Jackson Lee, which is a black majority district, Republicans in Texas could do away with it. A district like Alabama 2, which was redrawn after there were constitutional issues with the original Alabama maps, that currently has a Democratic representative, black majority district, would go away. In the short term, I mean, I think the one solace people should find in this is that the Supreme Court's not going to rule on this case until June or July of next year. And so by that point, practically speaking, these districts won't kind of get thrown out until after the midterm elections. They just won't have time to redraw the districts between June and November and ram them through. So that won't really change much practically. But moving ahead to 2028, and then especially into 2030, when you're going to have a new census, unless they want to do a new census earlier. When you have that new census, it's going to radically change the way districts are drawn in the country, and you're going to have a lot of black majority districts kind of eliminated. And the real issue here is that ultimately you're not getting accurate representation in Congress, right? Communities are not getting their voice in Congress, and they won't have even an opportunity to really vote in a fair election. And when I say fair, I mean non-gerrymandered election.
Yeah, well, that always seems like their goal. I was kind of heartened to see that Republicans have stopped spending as much on Prop 50 in California because I guess Newsom's margin is so good. Is that not the case?
That is the case, and I saw that, but at first I was like you, and I was like, wait, this is good news, right? But then part of me was like, oh, I think this is just a way for them to depress turnout. If all the news is starting to come out that Democrats have it in the bag, Republicans aren't spending, whatever, then Democrats will stay home. That's what I worry.
TikTok darling and killjoy. Did you see the disastrous Katie Porter interview situation?
That was hilarious.
Okay, we're gonna play it. Let's play the clip.
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you. You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has answered our follow-ups.
I don't care. I want to have a pleasant, positive conversation in which you ask me about every issue on this list. And if every question you're going to make up a follow-up question, then we're never going to get there.
Ms.
And
Porter,
we're just going to circle around.
I am an investigative
I have never
reporter.
had to do this before, ever.
You've never had to have a conversation with
to end
a
an
reporter?
interview.
Okay, but every other candidate has done this.
What part of I'm me? I'm running for governor because I'm a leader. So I am going to make.
So you're not going to answer questions from reporters?
And also the question was, like, how are you going to govern 40% of Californians who don't like you and didn't vote for you and voted for Donald Trump, which is like the question of the moment.
Well, I'm me. I'm the front runner, and therefore you shouldn't ask me.
I'm going to lead myself out of your control room stage.
I don't get it, what it is with some politicians these days, and it's not just Katie Porter, but they're afraid to answer tough questions. And like they just don't take these interviews seriously enough. And it really just seems like she wants to walk into one of those powerful offices in the entire world and not answer. I mean, this wasn't a tough question, but not answer questions like this. To me, this is as close to a disqualifying interview as you can get if you're running for office.
Well, the betting markets agree with us. Her odds have gone down 50% overnight. You know, she also, I mean, I always think this as someone who spends my days with people who disagree with me. Like, there is always a way. And she has, like, the simplest, best lane to go to. Like, you represented Orange County. Conservatives like you. They voted for you.
Well, part of the, I mean, she tried to at least. And she was, it was just, her inner lawyer came out. I think that's the problem. When lawyers run for office, they try to nitpick exactly what the question is asked. The question directly, like if you look at the text of the question, yes, her answer is like, well, why would I need Trump voters to win? Because I can just win all Dems. But the intent behind the question is what you have to look for when you're answering the question. And I mean, the biggest winner of the day, Alex Padilla.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You think that he's going to like have hung out in the Senate for 20 minutes and go home and be governor?
Based on all reporting, it shows that he might want to run.
You know, it's a huge job. What are you going to be governor of the third biggest economy in the world? It's a fourth.
Fourth. Yeah.
Have I been Newsom-pilled that I thought it was third as the fourth?
You may have been Newsom-pilled.
I mean, we're all Newsom-pilled. Okay. And also, it's just funny thinking about, remember all those reports that Katie Porter is a terrible and abusive boss? And she was like, that's absolutely not the case. And you're like, pretty sure that's the case.
And if you're reading their California reporters right now, I think Vance Ulrich is his name right now on Twitter. He's kind of saying, like, I'm surprised it took this long for this video to come out because there are like a lot more stories about Katie Porter that haven't come out.
This is a plot line I like way better than priests getting like pepperballed in the head in Chicago.
Me too. That was bad.
On Friday, the Nobel Peace Prize recipients will be announced. What are your odds that Trump's name will be on that list?
20%.
That's like a,
yeah. I mean, it's not a zero, right?
No,
I don't think you can put it at zero, but I don't think you can put it anywhere higher than 20%. I don't know. And this is me being cynical. I just think institutions have failed us so much over the past year that what's the Nobel Peace Prize? Like, that's the next thing that'll just fail us, and just give it to Trump so that he doesn't rage about it. I don't know.
To keep him quiet. I do think, I mean, he wanted a deal, Gaza-Israel deal anyway. But when he was screaming about, like, the deadline is Sunday, I was like, oh, with Friday on your mind. And that honestly would be a very good reason, frankly, to be considering him for it. But 20%, that's higher than I would have gone with.
And honestly, I feel like the entire world is kind of tired of hearing about it.
Like, please complain about this less. We don't actually care. All right. On that uplifting note, Aaron, it was great to have you.
Great to be here.